Everybody wants to say that they're going to be a tough guy. Everybody wants to say that if they ran into trouble, they would have the balls. Oh no. I just soiled myself. Today on the Extreme Channel, not only are we going to do an in-depth review on this guy, but I have some stories to go with this. These stories include how this kind of was one of the transition pieces that got me into collecting statues. Another one involves me running around drunk holding this and some damage done to it. So hold on to all that. But before we get started, let's talk about those giveaways. Sometime during this video, go ahead and comment. Anytime you comment on a video, you get entered into a monthly contest. The more videos you comment on, the higher your chances are to win. Also, we're going to give away this Mortal Kombat statue. Check it out. On our road to 20,000 subs, we are giving out this Mortal Kombat statue at 12,500 subs. All you have to do is make sure you've liked this video, you've subscribed to the channel, and you've hit that bell notification and stay tuned for that giveaway. Alright, so this is officially life-size alien head made in collaborations by PROPS Studio and Sideshow Collectibles. And those two companies do a lot of Alien and Predator pieces together. And some of you may know part of my collecting journey. I actually did a video on it, and one of the things I told you is I was collecting movie autograph memorabilia, and then I started moving into movie props. Well, this was one of those movie props that kind of transitioned me into statues. Today we're going to review him using the extreme scale, and I'm going to turn on this turntable. Hopefully it doesn't smack me in the face too often. One of the things about this piece is I don't know how many they made. There is no edition size on it. There is no edition size on Sideshow's website. I do know the original retail price was about $1,300. I paid $1,350 off of eBay. That was before I even knew Sideshow Collectibles existed. But I had to have this because this is the Alien Warrior from Aliens, the second installment, the best movie in the entire Alien franchise. And one of the funny things is I haven't looked close at this guy for almost 4 years now. And this is why I love having a YouTube channel, is that I can really look at these pieces and just be amazed over and over again. It's gonna hit me, do you think? You guys should take bets right now because I am drinking. So let's talk about the drinking story. So back before this basement was completely filled with statues, I had very few. I had about a dozen or so, which in my collection was a very few. And one of the companies I owned, we had a very small staff of about a dozen people. So we invited them over to my house for the Christmas party. I ended up drinking a lot, and someone was really scared of this. So after I drank quite a bit, I ended up picking him up because he comes off the display, I'll show you later, running around the basement, chasing this person with the alien head because I'm an awesome boss. And unfortunately, I had my first damage to a statue ever. We're gonna look at that too. And I remember it broke my heart. And I was drunk as hell, but I was still pretty upset about it. And my wife, Mrs. X, was even more upset because at this time spending $1,300 on a high-end collectible was very rare for us. But I absolutely love this piece. It is underrated, and they make a number of, I don't want to say variants, but this is what they do. They've done a lot of projects with Sideshow, Cool Props has, of the different aliens from the different movies. And the reason I own this is, as you guys know, I have a whole bust collection. I've actually done a video on my top busts. And I think I included this in it. I would say I didn't forget it, but now that I'm looking at it, I think I would have ranked it higher. So because this is a bust, we're actually going to tie concept and design into one category for this, because I think a lot of it is related and there's not really a lot of different things you can do. It's a bust on a display. So looking at this piece, it is a life-size alien head, which is awesome. You have a couple different things going on. I started at the front here because you do see the inner mouth slightly. I like the fact that it's inside, it's not sticking out, so it doesn't take as much room, but it is clearly noticeable. Some of the other details we'll talk about in paint and sculpt, but as you move back, I think they actually got the sign off from 20th Century Fox or whoever. This is a licensed piece, so it had to be accurate. And I like this color of the alien, the blues and greens mixed, which we'll talk more about in paint. And these tubes, they almost look like the alien is not an organic life form, but some type of synthetic aspect to it. And I remember seeing that in the movies. And this piece is huge. We'll measure it in a second, but I think they did an awesome job just displaying it. I think one big interesting fact of it, and it's not really an advantage or disadvantage, is as you see it turn on this turntable, it has tons of great angles. But it almost is restrictive in some points of how you can view him. So that's one nice thing. Let me show you right here. It easily comes off the stand. And it is very light. So on the website it listed that the entire thing weighed 41 pounds. I think that's a little bit high, or I'm super strong. Go ahead and comment in the comments below if you think I'm super strong or that they were wrong with the weight. Alright, really quick, let's measure him. So he is a deep or wide or long or however you're displaying him. He's over 35 inches. And the tallest part is probably right at about 15 inches if you have him on this display. Now one part, right back here is where the damage is. So here's a close-up picture. It's right on the back, which is not a huge deal, but it's still a bummer, and I still remember how devastated I was when I broke this statue, when I damaged this statue. I love the fact they didn't put a nameplate on it. If they put a nameplate on it, it really wouldn't matter which side because you can display it with the head facing either way. I like the fact that it's removable. That was smart as well. And as I said, the fact the inner mouth isn't sticking out and they don't have a neck on it, I thought that would have made it look strange and weird because this was the best part of the alien, the head itself. Now the material it's made out of, it looks shiny, which we'll talk about in paint and sculpt, but I believe it's a resin. It's too heavy to be a polystone, so maybe it's a mix between polystone and resin and maybe some other plastic pieces in here, but it seems very high quality. So really, if I'm going to do a bust display of this type of alien, I don't know what I would change. I think one key factor with this is you have to display it high, where in its temporary spot, I actually display it down low, and maybe that's why I miss so much appreciation. But if you walk down into a basement or into a room, hopefully not a bedroom, but to each their own, and you see this piece and it's at eye level, I think you would be blown away. I think if it's too high, you miss out, so I think that is one negative, is that it has to be displayed at eye level. But otherwise, I don't know what I could change. I think the base is a little cheap looking, which we'll look at in paint and sculpt. But I think the design and concept is a 4 out of 5. It looks like a real alien, and it's so cool to see movies you grew up with actually come to life right in front of you. So it's a 4 out of 5. It's a rail. And people often ask, what does rail mean? It means it's not a grail, but it's a piece I would really want, or you would really want. Now let's talk about paint and sculpt, and I think the easiest thing for this, I will just do the video for you guys. So here's some close-ups with me kind of narrating what my thoughts are. So moving through here, let's start at the mouth. I mean, that's where most of the detail and that's where the action on this guy is. First of all, as I said earlier, you can kind of see the inner mouth. I love how it's placed. It's not sticking out. The teeth are more of a black and gray, kind of almost this charcoal color, which by itself doesn't look the best, but as you back out and see it all work together, it works really well. And then the appendages on his mouth, I never know what to call these, but they're stretched thin. It's almost a translucent resin, but not quite. Kind of this pale green with a little bit of mix of yellow in there. And one of the things you're gonna find as we move throughout the rest of the statue is it's a mix between these blues and greens and blacks. And what I really like is, I said this earlier, it's kind of a mix between human animalistic flesh and then almost some futuristic stuff with this piping and hoses. But very, very cool, very different. And you'll notice with the lighting that I have that there is a distinct reflective surface. So I don't know if I dig that or not. I think it makes it look a little bit more fake. But traditionally where I have it, there's not this much light shine directly at it. So on the top you have these elongated spikes, a little bit lighter green color. Kind of, you would assume these would almost run down the spine. They do on some of the statues. And these segments right here, I like how it just incorporates the whole alien aspect. It makes you really think of what the body would look like. And realistically, as we look through this, there's not a lot of different things going on. And actually, I think that hurts it. One of the things, notice a little closer in here, you can definitely tell that this is a resin or polyresin type material. It doesn't look like flesh, which I think is a big disadvantage. And then moving back up, kind of a full frontal here of the alien. The accuracy, other than the skin texture, I would say is fantastic. You traditionally don't see eyes with the aliens. And I wish they would have done kind of a moist, wet saliva effect. I think that would have taken it to the next level right there on the front. And it is the same on both sides, so that's the convenience of me breaking it in that one area. And the colors really vary. It is definitely a pattern of colors, of the blacks and greens and blues. Here's some more shots for you guys. Kind of one of the most interesting things I've ever had to review, especially when we focus on the paint and sculpt, because it's kind of a contradiction. There's not a lot going on, while at the same time there is. It's just, I guess it's a lot of the same would be the best way to summarize all of this. So this is kind of tough for me. I think, as I talked about, there could have been more texture or detail because it makes it look kind of fake without that. So I think the sculpt, while it incorporated a lot of the good pieces, I think the sculpt is a 3 out of 5, which is not a bad score. It's very nice. But I love a lot of what they did with the paint. I think the shading is perfect, and it's great when you look at it in different lights. You really see a lot of differences with those paints. So I think the paint's a 4 out of 5 on this piece. Now, does this piece have the X factor? Well, I want to talk about a few things. First of all, I think the alien creation, and you know, there's so many different movies out there with aliens, from family-friendly E.T., Mac and Me, to, you know, more horror stuff like this or Species. I think this is one of the most marvelous creations out there. Not only the design, but kind of the concept behind the creatures, that they are merciless and they don't stop coming. And the fact that they impregnate you and they grow inside of a human being, it just adds to that freak level factor. And then you include things like the acidic blood or their high aggression. So I think that kind of ties into how cool is this piece. Well, the character itself is extremely cool, so I think you almost have to consider that into the X factor. However, I don't think it overcomes a lot of the things that, hey, when I look at this, it is obvious it's a statue. Nowadays, while this piece is very old, you look at some of the more recent bust pieces, whether it's based off of a comic book character like Thanos or Terminator 2, and those look real. It looks like that person is actually in your room. This does not look real, so I think that hurts the X factor of it. However, based on what I know, this is one of the coolest alien busts actually out there that you can get, so I have to give them cool props for that. No pun intended. Yeah, it was. But overall, I have to rank this statue as a 3 out of 5. Which is kind of interesting to me because I would not sell this piece because I want a life-size alien head. So while it is just a 3 out of 5, which is still very nice, I'm a big fan of it because it is not one of its kind, but it's one of the few options out there for an alien warrior from the movie Aliens to actually have a head. Plus, let's not forget the cool factor. When people come over to your house, you can say, yep, killed it, mounted the head. So that's what I'm going to leave you guys with today. Thanks so much for tuning in. I really appreciate it. I like looking at old stuff like this. It really invigorates my love of my collection, some of the stuff that's overlooked. But check out some of these other awesome pieces right here in these playlists, or subscribe by hitting that Mr. X logo right there. And I will talk to you tomorrow. Thanks so much. Take care.